Hey, Brass Facts here. Time to do a little bit of a different review. A car review. I'm talking about how to set up a car for kind of civil unrest, preparedness, and general life emergencies. I don't want to go shooting today, so we're filming this in my parking lot, so if you see me looking around, it's because I'm making eye contact with neighbors that are wondering what the fuck I'm doing. So the goal here is to prepare the vehicle for those types of events, but without crossing into the realm of what I would consider a dedicated shit hit the fan style vehicle, because frankly, who can afford a second vehicle in this economy? If you thought night vision was expensive, let me introduce you to the concept of an entirely second vehicle. Maybe one day when I'm filthy fucking rich, we'll try something like that, or maybe buy like a UTV with a spindle mount and belt-fed gun, but for another time. All right, new fancy angle. Let's get the jokes out of the way. It's a Subaru Forester. It's kind of a mom vehicle or a lesbo-mobile, as so often put. Yes, I'm using it to court another lesbian. I'll let the comment sections decide of who I'm referring to with that one. Now, this is certainly quite the downgrade from the Jeep Wrangler lifted setup that I had before this in terms of actual capability, but this actually works quite well for the video because real people don't want to own a Jeep Wrangler because it's a Jeep Wrangler. Now, you can certainly have a second play vehicle, but then the fact of the matter is you're going to spend the majority of the time in your daily driver. Therefore, we need to set up our daily driver for preparedness, for emergencies, and for that potential civil unrest that I talk about, because that's the car you're most likely going to have. So, before you even start considering to set up your car in any fashion to prepare for civil unrest, to prepare for weird and wacky scenarios, to prepare for egress scenarios, you gotta prepare the car for regular life. And that means you need to cover those things. So real quick, let's cover those. As people walk by, I've always wondered in the past, what's with your weird neighbors? Turns out, as people look at me, yapping away in my car, pointing at a camera, showing various items to the camera, I'm the weird neighbor. I'm that guy. Generic preparedness items for day-to-day life. Stored under the passenger side, we have a fire extinguisher. This is a BC fire extinguisher. My only issue with this is I should have probably bought an ABC fire extinguisher. That's the more typical fire extinguisher. Usually red, but that doesn't always mean it's an ABC fire extinguisher. Those are more generalist fire extinguishers, not nearly as good as dealing with car fires. The reality is I go camping so often that a fire extinguisher for a campfire probably would be more relevant, and I should have probably bought an ABC fire extinguisher. I may swap it out at some point and just put this in my kitchen or something like that. Next up, one of these bad boys. There's more of the kit in the rear of the car. I didn't want to pull it all out. So what this is a large battery bank, but it has the sufficient voltage and current to jumpstart your vehicle. So in the event that some jackass leaves the cabin light on and it burns your battery all night long. Ooh, hi. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm filming in the vehicle. Yeah, so if it burns your battery all night long, right, you can self-jump your car. I still would have a legitimate jumping kit, so you can jump yourself with someone else's car. I have both of them. This also serves as a battery bank in my car to charge my cell phone, so I don't have to turn the car on to do so, or charge other devices in an emergency. It also has a completely worthless compass on it, so you can placebo yourself. Yep, it's not even pointing in the right direction. This is self-extraction equipment. Might not be relevant in all parts of the world, depending on how much capability you want to give yourself. But here in Utah, where snow drifts, a huge amount of snow accumulation, and mud are incredibly prevalent, you do, in my opinion, need a self-extraction kit as a mandatory piece of equipment. Generally speaking, a come-along system is kind of a two-man op, one person in the car, the other person ratcheting, and maybe a third person trying to push the car and failing miserably. I've gotten myself out of so many fucked situations, hundreds of miles from civilization with my Jeep, with a basic bitch come-along kit. The Subaru has already saved a four-wheel drive vehicle by virtue of having a come-along. So one save on the book, right? This guy right here. So this is a little, pumpkin.
Brass facts, you idiot. It's called a compressor.
So if your tires go flat, you generally want to do a lot of things to avoid having to swap to your backup tire, right? Your backup tire is usually a fair bit smaller. It's not a great idea to be on that tire for as long as possible. So if you can do other things to avoid that, well, you should do them. The back, I have a patch kit. So if you get a flat, you can actually patch the flat via the goop, right? You stick it in, drill out a hole, put in the goop. Then you can reinflate the tire, and then that means you can continue to operate on a full-size tire. So super useful. In theory, you can also deflate your tires to help get you out of stuck scenarios or off-road better. I'm not deflating a Subaru's tire to off-road better. That was a Jeep thing. I'm not doing that on here, but in theory, you could. Anyway, and then finally, on the right side of the car, I have two medical kits. So this is a basic medical kit, so a generic one. It's got boo-boo stuff, it's got painkillers, it's got anti-diarrheal stuff, and it's got bandages. And then I have a second med kit here. Why is it in two med kits?
Yeah, clearly I'm terrible at this. So this med kit comes from Bare Independence. They also make med kit styles that actually mount to the rear of your headrest. So if you want that style, yeah, you can go get it, I guess. Yeah, no, that's about it. Comes from Bare Independence.
Because one med kit would not fit in the side of my door. So two med kits it is. On the driver's side, I have a TQ, two TQs. I can't get the other one out at this angle. So TQs are nice. We carry firearms. You should have a TQ on you. I have my EDC TQ there as well. It's a snake staff systems TQ. So basically what those are significantly smaller TQs. And then obviously, most cars come with this by default, so this isn't really a prep item for most people, but but you need a car jack, right? You need to be able to jack up your car, both to free yourself in certain scenarios, but also to replace your fucking tire. Learn how to replace a tire. It's not that hard.
Welcome to Utah. Our bridge and infrastructure, only the finest. 2x4s.
And it looks like they were installed at different times. So like they knew. That's such shitty work. It's collapsing. But yeah, they realized they didn't have enough, so they came back and added some more. It's the Kerbal Space Program approach to bridge design. Just put struts on it. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
God bless America, and God bless the state of Utah.
This video is sponsored by Venture Surplus. You guys know the drill. It's surplus gear from Venture. It's in the name. You should have it figured out by now. So if you want to buy something, be it a fully kitted out TAPS chest rig, a wubby, some new camo, pouches, MREs, or even a gas mask, Venture Surplus has you covered with new, like new, and used options from across the aisle of surplus gear. Also, it's that time of year again. It's Black Friday. It's time for shit to be cheaper than normal. Head over, scroll around for a bit, and take advantage of pretty good prices on Venture Surplus, and then throw in anywhere from 10% to 50% off on anything you can find, and then tell them Nova sent you in the order comment for no other reason other than memes.
I keep one magazine up front. I don't generally carry a backup magazine for my EDC on my person, so I do have one in my car just in case I have malfunctions or I need a second magazine. This one is quick access, so it does sort of break my rules of being, visible, but very few people are going to recognize what this tiny little thing stored in the corner over here is. So the other magazines for different guns I carried are stored in my side compartment here. I just went climbing, so my actual mini EDC ended up in there. So in here I'll have all the different magazine types. So I have a Glock 19 magazine in here, I have a Glock 43X Shield Arms magazine in here, and then I have, yeah, that's actually it. I only carry two other guns. So in the event that I'm clearing a Glock that day, I reach to the front of the car, take this mag, throw it in here, pull the other mag out, insert there, and now it's staged and ready to go. Speaks to having a system that I don't have to do any interaction with to be staged and ready. Oh, I need to go somewhere. You grab your keys, you grab your wallet, you do the 3-pat check, you walk out the front door, right? That's a real life scenario for real people. If it's not there, it's not there and it's not coming with you. I also have a backup EDC light, right? You can never have enough. And then a $10 headlamp that I bought at a diamond sale. This gun needs to go back in the house though. Oh, and then I have contact lens fluid and backup contacts in here because I saw that scene from 13 Hours.
Shit, I can't go if I can't see.
You gotta fix this, man. You gotta fix this right now.
Hey, funny man.
You know where you're going.
Shut the fuck
This
up.
ain't fine.
Hold up.
And any contact lens user will tell you that's their biggest fear in life, that one of their contact lenses plops out, gets dirty, or gets so itchy they can't open that eye. Yeah, so backup contact lens fluid has already come into handy many times. So the back cabin, as I said, I want to keep this generally pretty empty, so you don't really see anything lying around back here. Down here on the driver's side underneath the seats, you can't see anything right now, but if you look very carefully, Wow, okay, there's not enough lighting. There's just one of them, but here is a Surefire D60 or whatever. Not D60, what are these called? It's a Surefire triple stack 60 round magazine. This is all I really think I need, so it's convenient because it keeps it all in one magazine. If you look down there on a different day, you'll actually find other mags. So for example, the Flux Raider mags used to be down here, but the Flux Raider, or at least my Flux Raider, is currently out of commission, and you may sometimes find some TP9 mags down there or a box of ammo so I can top off, you know, my Glock or whatever. So right now, it's just those two magazines and some cloths. On the right side down here, all that emergency equipment, the fire extinguisher, the air pump, and some of the first aid is stored down here as well. You can see some of it sticking out. I think those are just gloves for cold weather working. They stay in the car at all times. This is another nifty little thing I got. Maps. Google Maps does come up short, especially with when you're in the back roads. So in that scenario, this one specifically is incredibly useful because, well, it shows all of the back roads. And in events where you don't have self-service, your cell phones are running out of batteries, this thing can be a lifesaver for getting us out of scenarios. It's very useful. Combine that with some pre-mission planning. This was our last trip, and we have primary and backup locations, alternate routes. Some of them are drawn on, some of them are not drawn on. You combine that all together and you have a very robust backup system. In the event of an emergency, you're going to need that because you may not be able to use your cell phone in a civil unrest or prelude to collapse scenario because the cell phone towers are going to be down and your, hey Google, bring me home, won't do anything. And you may be far enough away from home that you need to rely on an analog solution. Thus, this stuff lives in the back of my car. This one especially, get a version like this for your state. You'll be pretty set. These are incredibly detailed and pretty cheap.
All right, lifting up the lid cover to the rear. This is where the tire goes, but there's like this styrofoam spacer that you can put in between the tire. Might be cool to actually make my own. Regardless, I have the battery kit back here on the left. You can see the come along red handle sticking out. Extra sweater because, obviously extra sweater. I got a siphon kit, so what that does is it allows me to pull liquid out of a car. A lot of modern cars have anti-siphon features, but most older cars you can pull the gas out of it, so like pre-2010 era. And that's obviously useful in a home egress scenario. Despite the good gas mileage on this car, more gas is always nice. You can see the extra jumper kit on the left, extra water. There's 4 water bottles in here. Not an incredible amount of water, but, it's good enough for emergencies. 6 lifeboat rations. It's lifeboat rations because nothing else is going to survive in the back of a car like this in the heat, or in the summer or in the winter. Huge temperature swings. Amazing. I love it. And the interior of the car is going to hit about 180, 150 degrees. No other stage food is really going to survive more than one season of that. So that's why I'm using lifeboat rations. You can see a couple Glock magazines, extra batteries, so on and so forth. And then the main thing at the top, that's a huge wool blanket with a smaller Snugpack sleeping bag wedged in underneath. This is for the very likely scenario that if I get snowed in or blocked in with my car, I need to keep myself warm, and that has to be dedicated in the vehicle, because otherwise I'm going to fucking forget to bring it. So yeah, this is kind of my main area of basic standard emergency supplies. Oh, almost forgot, doing this last minute on the editing floor. The more off-roading I've done in Moab and elsewhere, the more I figure out that unless you're bouldering, most of your capability is going to come from that all-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, combined with a very high-quality set of tires. So if you have a car like this that might be all-wheel drive capable, consider buying a quality set of all-terrain tires. I have the Falcon Trail ATs, I believe is what they're called, and those get the job done. Scenarios. Unfortunately, they are kind of really turbo expensive, but that's the cost of doing business. Okay, so at this point, I can sense the mosquitoes of comments in my ear. Brass facts: why don't you have a dedicated battery, solar panel, fridge? Why don't you have a large inverter and a backup battery? I already said that. Basically, all the stuff you saw in an overlanding video. All right, we need to come to Jesus talk. Overlanding has become like a plague on the preparedness community recently. Seriously, play a drinking game where every time you see an overlanding forerunner in a shooting video, go ahead and take a shot. You will fucking die. And unfortunately, a disturbing number of these are actually being billed as shit hit the fan, civil unrest, whatever you want to call it, oriented setups. To be sure, I have nothing against overlanding. I want an overlanding vehicle after all. But the key is I don't want it for preparedness. I want it because I like glamping while I shoot guns in the Badlands of Oregon with my bros.
I have not confirmed that I'm ready.
I don't give a shit.
This is so unfair.
Are you ready?
Yes. God damn you!
Or alternatively, I'd like to travel across the US, meet up with others to create content and everything in between, while doing so in relative style and comfort without being forced to, buy motels. But the critical component of this is that's not preparedness. And a lot of people are claiming or think that overlanding is the pinnacle of car preps or preparedness. Very often these are framed as being the ultimate egress type vehicle, when that's not what overlanding vehicles are for. Like seriously, most overlanding setups have, 9 MPGs. You'll burn through your main tank and your 4 jerry cans in under 4 hours on a paved road. At which point you can either top off via a gas station or siphoning, or you can't. But regardless of what happens, the utility of your French press, your $2,000 roof rack tent is approaching near zero. You're against the clock trying to get home here. Taking a break to deploy a built-in shower isn't prudent. The best way I can put it is, we joke constantly about Mosins clapping dudes with $20,000 tactical setups. As much as I hate that comparison, this applies here. A dude in a stock whatever vehicle, even a Ford Focus with a camping bag and the contents of his pantry shoved into a box and a spare gas tank resting on the back seat, is similarly, if not more prepared and relevant in a max range egress scenario. Just saying. Overlanding is about camping comfortably in the middle of nowhere while being able to get to said middle of nowhere. It's not a preparedness setup. It just isn't.
Wow, it's been a while. The old-time dudes of the channel will know or recognize this cruddy-ass carpet as where I used to do the majority of my reviews. What's up? It's back. Low production quality brass facts here. Most scenarios are going to be handled by what's in the car, right? That's the whole point of the car setup. I want to be able to go in that car and at all times feel comfortable that I can handle the majority of scenarios, which with what I have in that car, I almost certainly can. In fact, I've survived multiple 48-hour scenarios where I've gotten a car stuck. Now, it wasn't that car. I haven't gotten that car stuck yet, but I have with the Jeep, and the Jeep actually had less survival equipment on board than that thing. So I feel pretty comfortable about that. But there are certain scenarios where I will want to bring extra stuff, that dog over there included. You guys have seen this thing on the channel many fucking times. It's my basically go bag, my daily driver bag. So if I'm going to go out of the house and I'm going to go somewhere where I expect to spend a okay amount of time, we're talking about 24 hours or less, I will bring this bag. You'll note the RTI hanger on the exterior that I've added now. That interfaces with the med pouch in the car. So the med pouch will click onto this. So if I need to egress or leave the vehicle or just want to bring the med kit into a friend's house or something like that, I can clip it onto this thing and it doesn't actually take up any extra space. Look at those little paws. Say we have that day of jihad or whatever that comes to our shore. We have a spicy summer of love once again.
I have a plus-up system for my car. This isn't really to be used as an independent bag, so if I want to go somewhere, I'll use that green bag you just saw. This more so is to put a bunch of extra gear into the car for use in the car specifically, if that makes sense. It might not make sense. Who knows? I'm delirious at this point.
In the top, I have some of my older shoes, some piece of shit 511 shoes. Don't buy these ones. These fucking suck. But they're still functional shoes. They work. And I have this because, some of you on the channel probably noticed, I wear flip-flops. Like a lot. Like sometimes in the winter too. And yes, in those events, I would need to change to a shoes. Otherwise, my feet are literally going to turn black and fall off. I have soft body armor. This would sit in the back of the car, likely with a gun in the back here as well, if I would want a gun. So a good example of that would be something like this. Something like this. A PDW. I prefer PDWs because in these events, I don't really want to go that loud, relatively speaking, compared to, say, a rifle. I have plenty of rifles, and sometimes when I go far away from home, I'll bring a rifle, right? I'm not saying I'm not bringing a rifle, but the majority of the time, something like this is going to sit here, obviously with the magazines already in it. I like these because these are very quiet and always subsonic, right? This thing is configured to always shoot subsonic, and well, there is a lot of utility in that in the event that I want to use this over my personal handgun. I've talked about that at length. You can go watch a video if you're more interested in that. So soft armor and a PDW or potentially a rifle gives me a lot of capability should I want. We have extra food. I use MREs, right? So we saw the lifeboat rations on the road, in the car, but MREs are a little more sensitive than that, so they stay in this thing. I could have more efficient calories, but fuck it, this gives me warmth, right? It doesn't require a stove to keep to create heat, and it'll keep me warm in the event that I get locked in my car. Also down here, I have candles. Once again, a lot of this is very cold weather oriented in the event that I get stuck in a mountain pass or something like that. For those not in the know, light one of these in your car and you will die, right? You'll die, carbon monoxide poison. But if you crack a window ever so slightly, you should have enough airflow that you hopefully won't die, and this will actually keep the car warm. And then on the other side, I have even more water. I am fucking terrified of not having enough water. So in the summer specifically, yeah, I got some extra water in here. And then obviously clothes, right? So I got socks because, you know, I have shoes. You want socks with your shoes. And then a set of underlayers. I don't generally wear underlayers in my day-to-day life, so having underlayers in here is, you know, always a good idea, as that adds a lot of perspective warmth in the event that, you know, I get locked in once again. I don't really carry a plate carrier. I just don't think there are very many scenarios where I would want a plate carrier in both civil unrest or not. I want something more concealable, hence my general preference for something like soft armor and a concealable, on-body concealable PDW. But yes, sometimes I'll bring night vision. I'll be real, 90% of the time I bring night vision. It's to show off to my friends drunk, completely smashed at a party and make all the girls swoon because they've never seen night vision before in their life. Is there a scenario in civil unrest where I'm egressing from my car trying to get home where I could use night vision? Absolutely. Will it ever happen? Probably not in this universe, right? But fuck it, who cares? It's cool, I'll bring the night vision. And then, you know, who the fuck knows? No one really can predict what will happen. So yeah, sometimes I bring night vision just cuz.
One final aspect I want to discuss that I've kind of overlooked over the years is that, of course, we might have scenarios where we have to fight from our vehicle, but it's a lot more than simply treating your vehicle like an oversized VTEC barricade. I'm not going to pretend I know what the fuck I'm talking about here, but like with CQB, you generally really just don't want to fight in and around vehicles. They're just sort of terrible fighting positions. They're death traps, if you will. You know, we've heard it so many times. But unless I miss something, loudly proclaiming that something is suboptimal doesn't actually prevent it from happening, and we spend a disgusting amount of times in these metal boxes. And there's a lot more nuanced, far more than you'd imagine with vehicle-based fighting, ranging from what frag does, what actual cover is and isn't, how you're going to handle incoming rounds, how skipping rounds can change the dynamic of what viable cover might be, how to safely exit a vehicle, whatever, you name it. I took a vehicle class this summer with Odyssey Training and Consulting down here in Utah by the farm, and Hop came along as well, because why not? Outside of just being sort of fun, I mean, how often you get to shoot at cars, we learned a lot, not just the dynamics I mentioned, but honestly, and perhaps even more importantly, getting to try different things and how they feel when you're shooting through the car. You can obviously train around your own vehicle, but how often are you going to be shooting diagonally across the car to pull a really tight angle without fear of actually hitting your own vehicle? With this training, you can do all of that, and it made it worth it on that alone. So a bit of a shout out, if you're in the Utah-Wasatch area, go ahead and check him out. He's by the farm, so that means he doesn't just do car stuff, pistol stuff, but he can also do home defense stuff with access to an actual shoot house and more. Alright, hopefully this video was at least semi-interesting for you. Remember, this is just how I have my stuff set up, so take some, leave some, and kind of configure it for your environment. Alright, I'll see you guys next Friday. Have a nice weekend.
Nova, I think this is one of those trips that is moderately out of control. For the record, this light beer was brought to you by my sponsor, Nightline. You know, Chappie, he really likes light beer. This is how I ruin all my sponsorships. Oh yeah, Nova knows. She's upset. She's like, what are you doing? What are you doing, you stupid idiots? Alright, Nova, go kill him. Go kill him. Get him, kill him! Kill him! I know, it has to be done. Kill him, go get him!